Hello, my name is Lincoln and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to be reading through the 1950s. I've been doing this little challenge for myself since January where I read through books written in each decade, starting with the 1920s. Last month in March, I made a reading vlog, my very first reading vlog, so you can see me read through the 1940s. And this week, it's April, so that means we are in the 50s, and I'm excited. Now, because we are all in quarantine and we cannot get out, all the books I'm reading are on my Kindle. Yesterday, I didn't think about it and didn't charge my Kindle, so now my Kindle is dead and it has all my books on it, so that's a great start. Thankfully, I have 2 audiobooks from my library, so we can start with those today. I guess without further ado, I should tell you the books that I am reading. The first book I have on my list is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. Now, I've read this book before. I had to read it for school. I'm excited to be reading that again, and my husband has never read it. He may try to read it this week, but I think what will more likely just happen is we'll just watch the movie. The next book I have on my list that was written in the 1950s is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I have not read this book before. I hear that a lot of people had to read this one for school, but I don't know, I guess I missed those days, or we just didn't do it. This is one of the books I have on audiobook, so we can start that one today. I also really want to watch the movie of this one because it has Michael B. Jordan, and who doesn't love Michael B. Jordan? And then I have 2 historical fictions that are set in the 50s, or at least they're supposed to be set in the 50s. The first historical fiction that I have is The Secrets We Kept by Laura Prescott, and I have the audiobook version of this one as well. I don't know much about that one at all. I just know that it has a cool cover and a cool title, and it is set in the 50s, so we'll see how that goes. And then the last one I have is actually, I got this one from Amazon, the First Picks thing that you can get with Prime, and it comes out, or it did come out, April 1st, and it is called The Last Bathing Beauty by Amy Sue Nathan. And the cover of this one is really cool and intriguing. Let's see what we get into with that one. So those are the books that I have to read for this week. 2 audiobooks and 2 physical books, so that should be plenty to keep me occupied while we stay inside. I will see you in a little bit when I actually pick up the first book. Okay, so I am about to start my first book. I think I'm going to pick up The Secrets We Kept on audiobook first, and I was gonna take the photos for this week for my Bookstagram. As you can probably tell, it's really dark and dreary outside, so that's not good lighting. I was playing Animal Crossing since it's Bunny Day there and Easter here, IRL, hoping that it would clear up, but it's not. We're just gonna deal with it. But I wanted to show y'all one of the photos I took while I was playing the game. And this is my favorite photo I took. You can just see a little, you can see Zipper just like peeping his head out in the bag. It's just funny. So while I listen to the audiobook for Secrets We Kept, I'm going to finish, or at least try to finish, my plastic yarn crochet bag. I'll let you know how this book goes.
Between Pasternak and Ivinskaya. I screamed, but was quickly silenced by a slap from the guard standing next to the door.
anything yesterday. Am I surprised? No. When my husband's home, I just want to hang out with him. We just lay around and play video games and hang out. So I did read a little bit. Well, I listened to the audiobook and crocheted some, like you saw. I'm enjoying the audiobook so far. It's interesting. We're following like multiple POVs. I'm intrigued. I'm enjoying it, and I definitely want to continue it. Today, my Kindle is charged. Woo! So I can actually read a physical book. I can't believe I didn't charge it before this readathon started. A couple things I have to do is I have to take photos for my Bookstagram, and I have to read. I have to write some, and I have to clean. One great thing about being an adult is no one is harping on you to clean up things, but also one bad thing about being an adult is no one's harping on you to clean up things, and so you don't. The living room, I'm looking at it right now, it needs to be cleaned. It's not bad, like it's like very surface level cleaning, putting things where they go, because one thing I am terrible at is I jump from one craft project to another, and I don't always put away my toys before I get out a new one. Sorry. So it's very surface level cleaning, and I can get it done real quick. I'm gonna continue listening to the audiobook while I do that, and then I don't know. We'll see where the wind takes us next.
Silence is clear, he said, his back to the man still sitting on the bench. My novel will not be published. It does not conform to their cultural guidelines. Sergio and Vladlan got up and followed. But its publication has already been announced.
In case anyone is curious about how I take my Instagram photos this week, since they're all digital, they're all going to be on my Kindle. And so I have this big book of paper, this paper pad that has different patterns and stuff. And when I'm wanting something like this and not like holding it, or like an outside theme because it's very rainy and grody, I just set down some paper, grab some random props. This time I have picked my painting palette that has all these different colors on it, and I don't use it anymore because all my art is digital right now. I think this is a work of art in and of itself. So beautiful. And then I have my Kindle, and so like I've just set it there. I don't do too much with it. And then in post, I put the photos on Procreate, and I will slap the book cover onto here. So I keep it blank and dark, that way it doesn't blow out the rest of the photo and you can see all the stuff clearly. And so I just put it on there in post, and I also draw lines around it. I just thought maybe someone would be curious, especially because this has a lot of fingerprints and it can get glare very easily, especially when you're taking a photo of it and you can just see like that. Like, that's not cute. Yeah, maybe that can help someone. So I've read the first couple chapters of The Last Bathing Beauty. I'm enjoying it so far. I like where it's going. I obviously can't say too much because I'm still kind of getting introduced to the story. We are following a main character. It's in the 50s, except for its dual timeline where you have it's set in the 50s and then all the way in 2017. So we're following this main character when she is just out of high school, getting married, and when she is like 80 something, talking with her friends and her granddaughter and stuff like that. And so at first, whenever I started reading it, the prologue was in 1951, and then the first 2 chapters were in 2017. So I was like, is this book like set in 2017? Like, did I mess up again? No, it goes back to the 50s, so it's still okay, still counts. Thank goodness. I think I'm going to continue listening to The Secrets We've Kept. If I'm listening to an audiobook, that means I can do something else, and I really want to play some Animal Crossing, so yeah. Animal Crossing wins. Okay, real quick update, not gonna keep you long, but in The Secrets We Kept, I think they're hinting at a female-female romance, and frankly, I hope that happens. As far as I can tell, they would make a good couple, so fingers crossed. Good morning. It is the 14th, day 3 of this readathon. A little update from last night. I convinced my husband to read the book, Lord of the Flies, and we found an audiobook version of it that was available. So we started listening to that together. We were both really tired and we realized that neither of us were really paying attention to the audiobook. He's gonna still listen to it while he's at work. I think I'm gonna stick to reading it. This morning I really need to get a lot of writing done. I'm trying to be productive today. So I'm gonna be sitting here, but I also want to read. So I'm gonna do like an hour of reading and then an hour of writing and hop back and forth for a little bit on that. While I'm sitting here, I'm gonna do some self-care and do something that I enjoy, a guilty pleasure of mine, while I finish The Secrets We Kept. Hopefully I finish that today. I'm fixing to out myself and I'm gonna show you what my guilty pleasure is. My guilty pleasure is Webkinz. Surprise, surprise! Let's see. Like this, that's nostalgia. Oh my goodness. This whole website just brings back all the good feels. Yeah, I'm gonna play some Webkinz while I listen to an audiobook.
Welcome to Curio Shop. Hope you find what you're looking for. Today looks like a good day for some mining. Congratulations! Looks like you found yourself a gem. You can keep that gem for your collection and try for that legendary crown of wonder. Or I can buy it from you if you like.
Don't mind my hair. Just took a shower and it's just... I took a break. Much needed. I did a face mask. I painted my nails. Took a shower. Listened to some MCR. And watched a couple booktube videos. And I'm feeling a lot better. I'm not going to be mad at myself. I'm not going to be mad at the book. It happens. That book has every right to have that scene in there, and I also have every right to have the feelings I do about it, and it's okay. I think I am going to finish the book, but just not right now. Right now, I'm going to continue reading The Last Bathing Beauty. Even though I really enjoyed it yesterday, I didn't continue reading it. I really want to. I'm really intrigued of where it goes, and I think it's gonna be a good book. Fingers crossed. Okay. Sometimes you just gotta step away, and I'm still gonna be productive today. It's just not gonna be in the way that I originally thought I was gonna be productive in. So this afternoon slash becoming evening, I have been reading more of The Last Bathing Beauty, and I think I know where the title comes from, and I'm enjoying this book. But they've hinted at, like, the title is like a beauty contest that they hold during the summer. And then I've also started reading Lord of the Flies, so that way I can catch up with my husband. He finished the book on audiobook while he was at work, so we'll probably watch that later. He enjoyed it. Nothing too fancy. He didn't love it. He didn't hate it. He just thought it was interesting, and that's fine. Also tonight we are attempting to make sushi. Now, we don't have fish in it. We just have cucumbers and avocado with rice, which isn't really sushi, but we're just trying something super basic for our first time making sushi, and yeah, hopefully it's good. If not, we have yum yum sauce to drown it in. Okay.
Not sure. Probably gonna anger a lot of people.
Do you need me to do it? And you hold the recording?
No. No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you Walter!
I'm working on it. Give me a minute.
Do you want me to do it?
No. Oh, look at that. I nailed it.
You roll it.
It's gonna end up look at this. This is like restaurant grade sushi right here. Look at it. Pow! Look at that. That is beautiful. Ignore that. Look at that. That is beautiful.
Good morning. So, it is Wednesday, the 4th day of this reading challenge. I have a couple things planned for today, and so hopefully we get to them. But the main thing we're doing is reading, because it's Wednesday and I haven't finished a book, so I want to do that. So in The Last Bathing Beauty, I am on page 111. Yeah, 30%. I'm going to continue reading this. Physical reading for me takes a lot longer because I am so spoiled by audiobooks. I know some people can't listen to an audiobook and fully catch everything while they're doing something else, but I can. Going from being able to do 2 different things at once, reading and also like playing a video game or drawing or doing something else creative or just household chores, you know, being able to do that and then coming and having to sit in one spot and just read. I know it sounds really lazy, but it's just, I'm enjoying The Last Bathing Beauty so much. I want to continue reading it, but like my eyes get tired and then my mind starts to wander. We're trucking through. We're gonna get there. But there were some highlights. There were some gem quotes in this story. I'm talking about The Last Bathing Beauty. And I just want to read them to you. I don't think there's any spoilers in these because I'm reading them to you out of context. If you don't want to hear these, I guess, then skip forward till when you don't see my Kindle standing like this. Okay? Okay. The first quote is, "What do you want to do inside my skyscraper, Betty?" It's not meant to be a sexual innuendo, but it also kind of sounds like it, you know? with their conversation, it's like completely normal. Like they're actually talking about skyscrapers. Maybe that could have just been worded differently, you know? Next quote is, Betty fell backward onto her bed and smiled at the ceiling. She couldn't help it. Had there ever been a more beautiful ceiling? White and smooth like her favorite frosting. By lamplight it glowed a muted amber, as if casted by 1,000 familiar sunsets. That's the most deeply described ceiling I've ever read about. I don't even know if books talk about ceilings, but this one, it's beautiful. Okay, and this last quote. Once, Betty had seen Granddad pat Nanny on the bottom. Okay. Good for her? I don't know. Why was that in there? Why? And also, it says bottom instead of like anything else. I don't know. I thought it was funny. Those are the quotes that just really hit home for me. That's the one thing I do enjoy about a Kindle. I can highlight quotes and stuff without getting out any pen or paper and stuff because I'm not really an annotator, but those sentences were begging to be highlighted. Today, we will finish a book. I promise you, we will. Do you like my mug? It says Bearded Dragon Mom on it. There's not much really to update you on. I've been reading, but haven't finished a book yet. I don't know what it is about Lord of the Flies that makes me enjoy it. I just think it's such an interesting conversation about how we aren't that civilized. We can become animals pretty quickly, especially when all the rules are stripped away. And I think I enjoy the premise and the conversation around the book more than the actual book. Because in the actual book, I just feel pity for these kids the whole time. Because their ages range from like 6 to, I don't know, not much older than 14. And they're all alone on this island. I like the conversation around the beast and how the beast is portrayed in this story. I don't want to spoil it, but also it's one of those books that like most people don't read it because they want to. They read it because they have to. Now granted, like I read it because I have to, but now I'm reading it because I want to because I enjoyed it. But I think I was the only one in my class that actually enjoyed it and wanted to talk about it. So interesting to see how quickly they go from being boys that are in a choir and go to this private boarding school to animals who just get in this frenzy and this hive mind and all this stuff and just focus on killing. But let me just say, like, these boys are doing a lot better job than I would. I am not meant to survive anywhere except for in a home. So I have to give it to them. Now I am going to try sewing. Earlier this month, I tried to sew some masks to give to a hospital that's in my area. My sewing machine broke. I don't know what was wrong, but Walter took it apart and it didn't look like he really did anything with it, but when he put it back together, it was fixed. Like, see, the ones I'd made before, I've made them a little too small, so like I'm just gonna keep this one, and it has the folds, and then it can, like, it can expand to cover my mouth, and with the ties and stuff like that. And it's a little mermaid pattern with flounder and stuff. And then it has like purple on the inside, so that way I can know that, hey, purple touches my mouth. Don't put Ariel on your mouth. I'm gonna try doing that. I don't know. Because I mean, if they're not good enough to go into the hospital, I can still give them to my family members and stuff like that. So even though these masks don't prevent it, they do help a little bit. They're better than nothing, and it just gives me something to do during this time. I've rambled on a whole lot, so sorry. I just apparently had a lot more to say than I thought I did. Good afternoon. It is Thursday, April 16th, and this is my third time recording this beginning part because I tried filming it before I started writing this morning, but sitting in that office, the lighting is just so wonky, and like this half of my face was like really bright, so bright like you couldn't even see any features, and then this side of my face was just like dark and stuff, and it just wasn't working out. So this morning I spent it writing because this month is Camp Nano, and I'm trying to finish my first draft. Last night I finished Lord of the Flies. It's just a great book. I enjoy it. I'll talk about it more at the end of this video, but my favorite character is Piggy. I don't know. I just love him so much, and I think he gets done so dirty. Like, he's the voice of reason throughout this whole thing, and like no one's paying attention to him. And then they call him Piggy. Like, we don't even know his real name. We just know the nickname that he begged them not to call him. But yeah, so I finished that one, and I may try to convince my husband to watch the movie later on this week. I would say tonight, but I don't know. I think tonight we're going to continue watching Hunger Games because we're wanting to watch the whole series, have like a marathoning weekend. We watched the first one yesterday. The movie still holds up in my opinion. Such a good movie. So since we started it yesterday, we have to finish it. We can't just watch the first one and that's it. No. Who do you think we are? I'm going to start Fahrenheit 451 today. I'm gonna try to read a lot of The Last Bathing Beauty. I haven't been reading that much of it. I've just been doing audiobooks, which is perfectly fine, but if I want to finish this book this week, I need to get on it. I am 37% of the way through. I think I was like 33% yesterday, so it wasn't a lot, but I'm on page 104 out of 293. So if I can get to like 60% today, I'll be okay with that. Because it's not like I'm not enjoying the book, so I don't know why it's so hard for me to read it. But it's just, I have so many other things going on. Like I said, it's afternoon, it's like lunchtime, so I guess I should stop talking and actually get to reading today. I just started Fahrenheit 451, the audiobook version, and is it supposed to be Fahrenheit 451? Because I've always just read it as 451. But then the guy on there said it was 451. But this book is already really insane and all over the place. So going into this book, all I know is that it's like set in the future and firemen no longer put out fires. Firemen set fires and they are trying to like burn and get rid of history, and like they try to burn like all these books and stuff like that. And I know that it's a book that everyone rants and raves over, and that's it. This book is already like throwing me for a loop. I've already had to ask my husband like is this what happened or am I mistaken? Because I'm already confused. And I think it's like the writing. It feels very looping to me. I'm now at the part where he's at the fire station again, and their dog, their like robotic dog, sounds like a monster. And them talking about like they're just like they play games with these cats that are supposed to be burned anyway. Like, what? What am I reading? And I guess I should get back to listening to it because it hasn't been that much time. So I haven't given this world like any time to really set up. But while I'm reading, or listening, I am doing some cross stitching. I am cross stitching my Animal Crossing avatar. Even though my avatar does not look like this anymore, this was like day one. I took a photo and yeah, so I'm doing that, and then I want to like do the heads of all my villagers that I've had, and like eventually have like all the villagers that I've ever had that move in and move out and stuff like that, like around her. So yeah, we're doing this. This is what it looks like now. Can you see? Yeah. So let's get back to the story. Good morning. It is Saturday, the last day, and I have 2 books to finish. I've decided last night that I would finish The Secrets We Kept, and I also have The Last Bathing Beauty to finish, and we gotta finish them today. I'm gonna start with The Secrets We Kept because my audiobook, I have to return it in 9 hours, but I only have like 2.5 hours left. That's not gonna be bad, but I'm going to listen to that one first while I do some Animal Crossing. I am trying to terraform, which is a lot. It's all complicated, and then I will finish The Last Bathing Beauty afterwards. I don't have much to say or much to update on, but one thing I've noticed with like actual older books, like books that were written during this time period and not set in this time period, they're a lot shorter. A lot of older books are like 100 pages or less, or if they're over 100 pages, they don't go over 200. But nowadays the average for a book is like 200 to 400 pages, which is weird. I wonder when we're gonna start see the books get this big. Just an interesting little thing I saw. I'll see you in the next update. I finished it. Oh goodness, that was so good. So good. What a great way to end this week. Well, I guess now all we have left to do is go give you my final thoughts. But let's not do it right here. Let's go to somewhere more professional. Let's go. We have made it. We've made it to the wrap up at the end of this 1950s reading week. And if you're still here watching this video, thank you. These videos, I enjoy making them so much, and I'm going to make them even if no one watches them, but they're long. I just put in the footage before this thing, and I have 4 hours of footage from this week. And I don't even know how much of it I'm actually talking about books. I'm sure everything you've seen before this has been a hot mess. Unless you just skipped all the way to this point, and then in that case, you're probably really smart. But now we are going to talk about the books that I've read. Let's not waste any more of your time, and let's just dive into it. So the first book that I finished this week was Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I gave this book 4 stars, and this was a reread. So I already knew that I would enjoy it because I enjoy the premise of the story, I enjoy the thoughts behind the story, and just how the story plays out and so if you are one of the few people who either haven't read it in school yet or didn't have to read it in school, The Lord of the Flies is about a group of boys who crash land onto an island without any adults, and they are trying to survive and get rescued. And throughout the novel, we see it just goes all downhill. I got my husband to read this book. He had never read it before, and so I finally convinced him to do so because I had found an audiobook version for him to listen to while he was at work, and he thought it was okay. He didn't enjoy it as much as me, but I appreciate him actually trying to read one of the millions of books that I ask him to read, even though I know he's not interested in those genres at all. So I can't complain with his it's okay rating. My favorite scene in this whole book is the ending. The ending makes it for me. And it's just so interesting to see how quickly they dive into this animalistic nature of theirs. It's not that far or crazy of a descent from the logical boys that they were in the beginning, trying to get rescued till then. I know it's not going to be for everyone, especially if you're forced to read this book. I can see how it would not be fun to read at all. I would say give it a shot. Now, the next book that I read was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And my husband had read this one before and told me he enjoyed it and was like, I think you're gonna like it. I'm going in with that mindset, and also I knew the basic premise, which was firemen go and burn books because they're banned, because no one wants to be offended and everyone wants to be happy. So that's what I went into the story with. And I came out with something that was totally different. Not really, but it was not the book that I thought it would be. To sum it up, I gave it 2 stars. I was expecting a much different book. I was expecting a more story than essay type book. And I think what it was trying to accomplish, the narrative it was trying to talk about with, like, we need books, we need free thought, trying to coax everyone and make everyone happy and content is not possible unless we all just want to be very surface level happy and just numb. So I thought it did very well on that front, but it felt very much like an essay. I was not connected to any of the characters. I did not feel sympathy at any point in time. It just felt like it was the surface level of a story. It felt like it was the basic idea of a story, like someone writing a very detailed outline, and they, instead of going back into that outline to expand on things and, like, give characters more depth and stuff like that, they just published the outline. It was fine. I feel like I would enjoy the movie a whole lot more. This was not the book that I had heard people raving about. This is not what I thought they were talking about when they were raving about this book. The next book that I finished was The Secrets We Kept by Laura Prescott, and I really debated whether or not to actually finish this book. I gave this book 2 stars. I had stopped reading it because I came across a scene that I wasn't anticipating and did not want to read. And it is my fault for not searching harder to be sure that type of thing was not in the book. I have found the thing that was staring right in front of me on Goodreads, which is you can search filter for words in the reviews to see if those words pop up. And so I'm going to be trying that more often, or I will be using that more often for books before I read them. So that way, hopefully, this is the last book I ever read where that type of trigger warning scene surprises me. Putting that aside, this book was a hot mess. I feel like it was trying to be too many things, and because it was trying to be so many different things and dipping its toe in this genre and this genre and this type of commentary and this type of commentary and blah blah blah, it didn't really dive in to any of them. It just kind of touched the surface and went all over the place. In this book, we are following multiple POVs, but the main premise is this is during the Cold War, and the Iron Curtain has come down, and there's an agency in America that is trying to publish Russian literature that the Russian government does not want to be published, and getting that literature to the people in Russia to kind of overthrow and I don't really know how to explain this book. It's about spies trying to publish a book that the Russian government does not want to be published during the Cold War. Pretty much. That's a bare bones description, but I don't know how else to explain it without going into all these different details. There were a few things that I enjoyed from this book. I enjoyed the POV of the typists. It was a plural POV that kind of talked about this group of women who worked at the agency as a whole and kind of describing the thoughts of women who were typists, worked as typists during that time. I enjoyed that POV a lot. And the other part, I was very surprised that this had a female-female romance. I was all for that. And I was rooting for those two characters to get together, to stay together. Didn't realize this was going to be a romance in any sort of way, which it's still not really, but it did have that female-female romance aspect, which I enjoyed. Now, trigger warnings for sexual assault and rape, homophobia, which, yes, this book was set during a time when they were homophobic, but with a book being written in this decade, it's not okay. So it's very hard for me to be like, oh, well, that's historically accurate, so it's fine, because it's not. It wasn't fine then, even though people did it, and it's not fine now. Some characters do lose their job because, in their words, they're suspected of being funny, and they can't have that. If you're wanting an actual spy novel, I don't think this is it. I don't want to trash this book, and I don't want to speak down on anyone who does enjoy this book. This book was just not for me. This book can be for a very specific type of audience, but I just don't feel like that is me. So, if you're interested in historical fiction about, like, female spies and typists and kind of that world during the Cold War, look the synopsis up and look some reviews up on Goodreads about this book and go at it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. The last book I read for this month was a 5-star. So happy I finished this week off with a bang. And that was The Last Bathing Beauty by Amy Sue Nathan. Oh, no, please don't bite my hair. This is a dual timeline story where it is set in the summer of 1951 and the summer of 2017. And we follow the same character when she is 18 till when she is 80-something. And it is her reliving the past of that one summer that changed her life, and her kind of coming to terms with what happened and coming to terms and helping her granddaughter not make the same mistakes that she did. Now, I thought this book was very well done. It was not confusing at all, using the same character but going back and forth in time, because in the past, our main character is known as Betty, and in the present, she is known as Boop, which was very funny at the beginning, but as the story progresses, we see where she gets the nickname and the name change from, and it makes so much more sense. In this story, because we are going back in time and then coming into the present at some points, it is not really a shock what happens in the story. Like, as I was reading it, I knew what was going to be happening, and I was able to guess the whole story before I read it. But even though I was able to guess everything and kind of nothing was a surprise to me, it was still very well done, and I was able to enjoy the story. It didn't matter that I knew what was happening. It was still just so cute and lighthearted. It was just a fun, light, warm, cozy, summery read. This book made me wish it was summer, and it also made me really want a 1950s style bathing suit. I loved the parallel of the very beginning and the very end. And again, there was a lot of talk about not marrying your own kind. And again, even though it's set in the 1950s, it was written this year, and so it's kind of hard to look past that. But it's not really... It is a big part of the story, but it's not talked about a lot, so I didn't dock off a star for that. I am just so glad that I was able to get 2 great books, 1 new book that I loved and 1 reread, and that helped balance out the 2 books that did not live up to my expectations. That is it. This 1950s reading week is complete. I appreciate you so much for watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And next month I will be doing the 1960s. So if you're interested, stay tuned for that video. If you want to keep up with me, you can follow my Instagram. I'll have it all in the description. So hope you have a great morning or evening whenever you're watching this. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!
Yeah.